Imagine a life where every relationship you nurture uplifts your spirit, aligns with your values, and contributes to your growth. Yet, some connections, even with family or close friends, may erode your peace and self-worth. Have you ever felt trapped in such a bond? Unsure of how to proceed? This exploration, rooted in Stoic philosophy, will reveal 9 signs that it might be time to distance yourself. This is not about fostering resentment, but about reclaiming your mental clarity and emotional strength. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Let's embark on this journey together. Sign 1. Avoid those who exploit your generosity. Kindness is a precious resource, but if not protected wisely, it can become a burden in unhealthy relationships. Those who exploit generosity often manipulate and mask their intentions, making you feel overly responsible for their needs. Stoic philosophy emphasizes recognizing imbalance in relationships and safeguarding your resources, not just material, but emotional as well. Continuously giving your kindness without receiving appreciation in return can drain your emotional energy, confidence, and even trust in other relationships. Manipulative behavior, identifying the difference. Not everyone seeking help has ill intentions, but there's a clear distinction between genuine reliance and deliberate exploitation. People who exploit kindness often justify their actions with financial excuses or personal circumstances while maintaining a luxurious or self-centered lifestyle. This doesn't reflect hardship, but rather a lack of respect for you and your resources. Imagine a friend who constantly declines plans, citing financial difficulties, yet has no hesitation indulging in expensive travels, designer goods, or extravagant hobbies. Such contradictions not only frustrate you but also disrupt the balance in the relationship. If someone isn't willing to share burdens or value your contributions, that relationship is likely unworthy of continuation. Emotions and responsibility, setting boundaries. One reason it's challenging to cut off unhealthy relationships is the sense of responsibility and fear of being judged. However, kindness should not become an obligation. It should be reserved for those who appreciate and reciprocate it. Stoic philosophy encourages us to establish clear boundaries and not let guilt influence our decisions. Ask yourself, what does this relationship bring to you? Does it make you feel happy, respected, or is it merely an added burden? When you realize the imbalance has persisted without signs of improvement, it's time to reevaluate and decide whether to continue. Learning to let go, respecting yourself. Walking away from those who exploit your kindness doesn't mean you lack compassion. It means you are protecting yourself. The story of a friend who always made financial excuses but spent lavishly highlights the importance of letting go at the right time. By choosing to step away from that relationship, the storyteller regained peace and focused their energy on more genuine connections. Remember, healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, care, and fairness. If one party only knows how to take without giving back, it's no longer a relationship worth investing in. By adhering to this principle, you not only protect your resources but also create space for more meaningful and positive connections in your life. Sign 2. Steer clear of chronic arguers. Constant arguments not only drain energy but also disrupt inner peace. This is particularly harmful in relationships where trust and respect should serve as the foundation. People who escalate minor disagreements into battles often conceal deeper insecurities or a desire for control. Stoic philosophy emphasizes that it is not what happens to you that matters, but how you respond to it. In situations like these, maintaining composure and refusing to be drawn into cycles of conflict are key to preserving your tranquility. Manipulation in arguments. Chronic arguers typically do not engage in debates to find solutions or gain a better understanding. Instead, they use arguments as a tool to assert dominance or manipulate others emotionally. Minor disagreements can quickly spiral into heated disputes, consuming your time and leaving emotional scars. For instance, the story of a former friend who turned casual discussions into intense arguments is a classic example. His insistence that the storyteller publicly take his side during a group discussion revealed his need for control rather than mutual respect. Such relationships lack equality and understanding, transforming into a battlefield of power dynamics and pressure. Psychological impact of constant conflict. Frequent arguments can leave lasting psychological effects. They drain emotional energy, keep you in a state of tension, and make you anxious about potential conflicts. Moreover, these relationships often leave you feeling trapped, unable to improve the situation or walk away. Interestingly, chronic arguers often fail to recognize the harm they cause to others. They may justify their behavior as being honest or defending their opinions, while their actions are eroding the peace and stability of those around them. Setting boundaries and prioritizing peace. In these situations, setting clear boundaries is essential. Do not be afraid to decline participation in unnecessary arguments. If someone persistently tries to drag you into conflicts, remember that you have the right to prioritize your peace of mind. Stoic philosophy encourages us not to get caught up in the whirlwind of arguments, rather than seeking the fleeting satisfaction of winning a debate. Focus on maintaining harmony in your relationships. Sometimes, the best way to protect your energy is to simply walk away from tense situations. The value of harmony. Harmony in relationships not only brings peace but also fosters mutual growth. People who genuinely respect you will not force you to choose sides or agree with them unconditionally. They understand that disagreements are natural and can be resolved amicably, without conflict. Ask yourself, does this relationship truly add positive value to your life? Or is it merely a source of stress? If the answer leans toward the latter, it may be time to reconsider. Life is too short to be consumed by meaningless arguments. Choose peace and mutual respect as guiding principles for all your relationships. Sign 3. Distance yourself from those who dismiss your struggles. When someone trivializes your challenges, it not only diminishes the value of what you're going through but also erodes trust and connection in the relationship. Meaningful relationships are built on the foundation of respect and empathy. Without these essential elements, the relationship becomes burdensome and imbalanced. Respect as the foundation. When someone dismisses or downplays the difficulties you face, it may stem from a lack of empathy, a need to shift attention to themselves, or simply indifference. Regardless of the reason, this behavior sends a clear message: your experiences and feelings are not important to them. This not only leaves you feeling hurt but also creates a growing distance in the relationship as trust begins to deteriorate. The example of sharing struggles about balancing work and caregiving for a parent, only to have the conversation redirected to someone else's minor inconveniences, is a clear illustration of this issue. That moment revealed a lack of mutual respect and balance in the relationship. This realization not only brought disappointment but also prompted a deeper reflection on the true value of that connection. Empathy is the key to connection. Empathy is not about providing solutions or comparing challenges. It's about the ability to listen, understand, and create space for others to share. A good friend knows how to step into your shoes and acknowledge what you're experiencing without overshadowing it with their own stories. Lesson: choose your relationships wisely. Surround yourself with people who truly listen and value your experiences. Healthy relationships not only make you feel loved but also inspire you to grow. If someone consistently minimizes your struggles, it's a clear sign that they don't deserve your time and energy. Respect yourself by investing in connections that offer real value and mutual respect. Sign 4. Avoid those who force their beliefs. True connection between people stems not from complete conformity but from respecting differences, variations in thoughts, beliefs, or politics are not only natural aspects of individuality but also opportunities for growth and learning. However, When someone attempts to impose their beliefs on others, the relationship often becomes strained, unbalanced, and ultimately fractured. The behavior of imposing beliefs. People who insist on enforcing their views often fail to accept or respect differences. They may perceive their beliefs as the only correct perspective, dismissing or undermining opposing viewpoints. This behavior creates a sense of unfairness and neglect, as illustrated by the story of a former friend who repeatedly tried to convert the storyteller to their worldview. Turning every conversation into a debate not only left the storyteller emotionally drained but also made the relationship heavy and devoid of the ease and comfort it once had. Personal space in relationships. A genuine relationship respects individuality and independence in thought. It doesn't require absolute agreement but instead offers a space where both parties can share, listen, and understand each other without the need for transformation. People who truly value you will not attempt to fix you but will embrace and appreciate your uniqueness. Lesson: embrace diversity. Diversity in thought is what makes relationships rich and meaningful. We learn the most when we listen to differing viewpoints without feeling pressured to change ourselves. If someone cannot accept differences and consistently imposes their personal beliefs, it reflects a lack of genuine respect for you. Surround yourself with those who appreciate diversity and respect your individuality. A healthy relationship is one where you can be yourself without conforming to someone else's expectations. Sign 5. Beware of relationships that feel draining. In life, relationships are meant to nourish and inspire us. But over time, even the most joyful connections can shift. As we grow, our paths naturally diverge, shaped by new experiences, priorities, and environments. This doesn't diminish the value of past relationships, but holding on to outdated connections can drain our energy and leave us feeling frustrated. A personal story. I remember a childhood friend who was once like family to me. We spent countless hours sharing dreams, laughter, and even heartaches. Our bond felt unbreakable, a cornerstone of my early years. However, as we grew older, life steered us in different directions. Careers, families, and ambitions took priority. When we did reunite, our once effortless conversations became awkward and strained. It was as if we were clinging to a version of ourselves that no longer existed. After some reflection, we made a mutual decision to step back. It wasn't an easy choice, but it allowed us to hold on to the good memories without forcing a connection that no longer served us. Today, I still look back on our friendship with gratitude, but I've also learned to honor the space we both needed to grow. Why letting go matters. Letting go of an outdated relationship doesn't mean rejecting someone or erasing the past. It's an act of respect for yourself and the other person. It's about acknowledging that relationships, like everything in life, are impermanent. By letting go, you're giving both parties the freedom to evolve without the weight of expectations or forced interactions. Practical advice. If a relationship feels draining, ask yourself, is this connection adding value to my life? Or am I holding on to it out of guilt or nostalgia? Reflect on the nature of your interactions. Are they supportive and genuine? Or do they feel like an obligation? Remember, it's okay to take a step back. You can still cherish the memories and lessons from that relationship while creating space for new, meaningful connections. By recognizing when to let go, you make room for relationships that truly uplift and align with who you are today. Sign 6. Avoid emotional dumpers. In relationships, sharing joys and burdens is natural and even essential. However, not everyone knows how to balance sharing with being mindful of others' emotional capacity. Some people constantly dump their negative emotions without considering how it impacts the listener, turning you into an unlimited reservoir for their troubles. This imbalance drains your emotional reserves and disrupts your mental well-being. I once had a colleague who frequently approached me to vent about their struggles and failures at work and in life. Initially, I listened attentively, hoping to offer support or comfort. Over time, however, I realized these conversations revolved solely around them. They rarely showed interest in how I was feeling or asked about the challenges I was facing. Recognizing that this relationship had become one-sided and unhealthy, I decided to set boundaries. I gradually reduced the time I spent engaging with them and learned to politely decline when they wanted to dump more emotional baggage. While our relationship cooled after that, I felt relieved and regained my mental space. Healthy relationships are about balance and mutual support, not one-sided giving. For negative or draining relationships, you must learn to listen selectively and establish clear boundaries. Ask yourself, does this person care about my feelings? Do I feel emotionally exhausted after every conversation with them? Prioritize relationships that make you feel safe and emotionally connected. If necessary, you have the right to decline participation in endless negativity and instead focus on connections that bring genuine value to your emotional well-being. Setting boundaries not only protects your mental health but also fosters healthier and more fulfilling relationships. Sign 7. Steer clear of those who break promises. Promises are not just words, they represent trust and a commitment to follow through. When someone repeatedly breaks their promises, it's not merely an oversight, it reflects a disregard for your time and feelings. This behavior can erode trust and create frustration, leaving you questioning your worth in the relationship. I once had a close friend who had a habit of making plans but rarely following through. She would often promise to meet up or help with something, only to cancel last minute with flimsy excuses or worse, completely forget. At first, I gave her the benefit of the doubt, assuming she was overwhelmed or genuinely busy. But as this behavior became a pattern, it became clear that the issue wasn't her circumstances but her priorities. Each broken promise left me feeling undervalued, as if my time and efforts didn't matter. Eventually, I chose to step back from the friendship. While it was difficult, the decision gave me the freedom to focus on relationships that were more dependable and mutually respectful. When someone breaks promises repeatedly, it signals a lack of consideration for the relationship. Their actions convey that your needs and trust are secondary to their convenience. Over time, this dynamic can drain your energy and leave you feeling unappreciated. Reflect on how you feel in such situations. Are you constantly making excuses for their behavior or downplaying your frustration? Acknowledge that keeping promises is not just about actions, it's about the respect and value they assign to your relationship. Set boundaries and communicate your expectations clearly. Let the person know how their actions affect you, and observe if they make a genuine effort to change. If the behavior continues, it may be time to reconsider the relationship. You deserve to be surrounded by people who honor their word and value your time. Prioritizing reliable relationships fosters trust, stability, and a deeper sense of connection in your life. Sign 8. Avoid repetitive complainers. Some individuals constantly seek comfort from others but resist taking steps to change their circumstances. They often repeat the same complaints and behaviors, trapping themselves and sometimes you in a cycle of negativity. Engaging with such patterns can be emotionally draining, as it feels like pouring effort into a bottomless well with no visible progress. I once worked with a colleague who often expressed dissatisfaction with her job, complaining about her workload, unfair treatment, and lack of recognition. At first, I empathized deeply, offering suggestions and even tangible solutions to improve her situation. However, every piece of advice was met with resistance or dismissed with excuses. Over time, I realized that while she sought comfort and validation for her frustrations, she had no intention of taking action to create change. When I gently confronted her about this repetitive pattern, she became defensive, insisting her circumstances were insurmountable. Our interactions gradually diminished, which was initially painful as I valued our camaraderie. But this shift allowed me to regain my mental space and energy, which had been consumed by her never-ending cycle of complaints. This experience taught me an important lesson: you can't force someone to change if they're not ready or willing to do so. Change requires self-awareness and personal effort, qualities that no amount of external advice can substitute. By repeatedly engaging in their negativity, you risk becoming stuck in the same unproductive cycle, sacrificing your emotional well-being in the process. When dealing with someone resistant to change, focus on encouraging growth while setting boundaries to protect your energy. Listen with compassion, but avoid over-investing in a situation where your efforts are unlikely to yield results. Instead of trying to fix the person's problems, remind them that the power to change lies within themselves. If their resistance continues to drain you, it's okay to step back. Prioritize relationships that inspire mutual growth and positivity. And remember that your energy is valuable. It's better spent nurturing connections that uplift and empower both parties. Sign 9. Distance yourself from chronic boasters. Excessive boasting can be a barrier to meaningful relationships, often serving as a shield for deep-seated insecurities. While confidence is rooted in authenticity, boasting is an attempt to project an inflated sense of self, creating distance rather than connection. People who constantly dwell on their past achievements often struggle to engage meaningfully in the present, leaving relationships feeling superficial and unbalanced. I once knew someone who frequently talked about their past accomplishments, from career highlights to personal victories, often in exaggerated detail. While at first, I found their stories impressive, over time, I noticed a pattern: they rarely spoke about their current life or aspirations. Any attempt to shift the conversation to the present was deflected or met with vague responses. Their fixation on the past made interactions feel one-sided and hollow, as if they were performing for validation rather than seeking genuine connection. It became exhausting to maintain a relationship where depth and mutual understanding were consistently overshadowed by their need to showcase a version of themselves rooted in outdated glory. Eventually, I chose to step back and focus on building connections with people who valued authenticity and reciprocity. This experience underscored the importance of humility and presence in fostering meaningful relationships. When someone is humble, they create space for mutual respect and genuine engagement, allowing relationships to flourish. Authenticity invites trust, while excessive boasting can erode it, as it often signals a disconnect between the person's outward persona and their true self. When encountering someone who boasts excessively, it's helpful to approach them with curiosity and compassion rather than judgment. Often, their behavior stems from a need for validation or fear of inadequacy. Acknowledge their achievements, but gently steer the conversation toward more present and balanced topics. If their behavior persists and the relationship feels unfulfilling, it's okay to create distance. Surround yourself with people who value honesty and vulnerability, as these qualities are the foundation of deep and meaningful connections. Remember, confidence shines brightest in authenticity, not self-aggrandizement. The art of letting go. As Seneca wisely said, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Letting go of toxic or outdated relationships is not an act of hostility, but one of self-respect and growth. By prioritizing connections that nurture your spirit, you create a life filled with peace, purpose, and joy. Take a moment today to reflect. Are there relationships in your life that drain your energy? If so, have the courage to make changes. Your peace and happiness are worth it. Comment below with your thoughts and stories about navigating challenging relationships. Let's continue to grow together, building lives rooted in wisdom and inner peace.